in this house, the most dire, horrible events will face.
You are not content with the stories. Smartest lives come. Be my victim.
Through watching scenes of violence, through watching scenes of transgression, through watching scenes of horror. There's an enormous amount of sort of abattoir of excess.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Good evening, chat. I hope you're doing well. I'm feeling a bit of a craving for a new intro. What do you reckon? I love that one. It's a bit of a banger. It's a classic, but I've got a feeling we could do with a new one. What do you reckon, guys? Guys? Da-da!
Hey, your intros are always good, so.
Sorry, middle of a coughing fit. Leave it. I like it. This is my favorite one.
All right.
This is
I'm going to work on it in the meantime. I'm inspired. It's all the Twilight Zone stuff. I want to do an intro that's just nothing but us chilling with Rod Serling. What do you reckon?
I'm going to have to ask who's that.
A Twilight Zone guy, Rod Serling. He's the guy who presented the Twilight Zone.
Oh,
thing.
Yeah. That legend. Always smoking.
Oh, he's
like my
so
guy here.
good. He's so good. I love him. I absolutely love him. Reminder to everyone, if you liked our Twilight Zone coverage, I'm absolutely hooked on the thing. Over the course of this year, we are going back and back to the Twilight Zone because it's had so many incarnations. We also did a bonus episode of additional original series Twilight Zone episodes, and that is out for members. So if you fancy that, you can support the channel via Subscribestar or via YouTube, and we have, I think you can get in for like $2.99 a month or something, and you'll get exclusive content. You get early content. My gosh, that was almost a smooth shill. I just slid right into that one.
That was very smooth. Very smooth indeed.
Nice. I'm seeing so many lovely people in the chat. I'm seeing some fantastic. I'm seeing love for the intro. That is great. Folks, this is Double Feature Horror Show number 94. We are heading towards a very significant number. And I hope you're going to like that when we get there. We are starting a brand new month and we are starting a brand new theme. It is, as you voted for, the return to H P Lovecraft. We covered him once before, but there was so much we had to do him again. We are nowhere near the full extent of Lovecraftian film. There's so much out there. So we can get a little bit weird on this one. We can expand. We can look at some things that we didn't cover last time. And this is one of the more modern ones. As you'll notice from the last time, we've had a bit of a Lovecraft revival. So last time we did the very modern Color Out of Space, a ridiculously good Nicolas Cage movie. This, that was from, I believe, 2020. This is The Void. It's from 2016. And it's a bit of a treat. But before I get too far into that, I'll introduce my guests. G'day, Murgoot. Murgoot, no!
If I can unmute. Wow. Boomer moment. Hello.
Resident Lovecraft expert.
I wouldn't say expert, but aficionado, yes.
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to this a lot. So,
well, I think it had to be you on the stream because you recommended The Void to me.
Well, it was something that I found on Netflix way back when, and it's like, what is this? Oh, it's Lovecraftian must watch. Oh, wow. This is a total Carpenter throwback. I love it.
Oh, that is a fun thing to mention. Yes, yes. Interesting. You said Carpenter. Wonderful. And in addition to Murgoot, of course. Oh no! Can you see what's happened now?
I see. I saw that.
Oh no!
Thank you, Bilbo.
You're gonna have to get minions now. You're gonna have to get some minions.
Does my cat count? And no, his name is not the N-word.
Oh, don't you? You know what? That's you're coming up with a relevant links all time. But before I get onto that specific cat, because he's very relevant, we want to introduce a regular co-host. That crime guy, he's unforgettable. Daisy Dukes, bikinis on top, sunset skin so hot it melts your popsicle. How are you doing, TCG?
I'm very good. Is that more Eminem?
No.
You've switched up, yeah.
We
You've
had it
switched up,
pointed
haven't you?
out that maybe we're a bit, proving Evola right by doing rap lyrics. So I thought I'd shake it up, and I went for Katy Perry.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I get no pre-warning as to what she's going to do, chat, beforehand. So I'm just as bemused as you are, no doubt. I'm going to say something just purely to see what happens in the chat reaction-wise. This film was shocking.
Oh, now I knew we had a mixed panel on this. I knew we had mixed opinions.
I'm just saying it for the reaction. I just want to see what they say.
TCG is taking a Harry and heel turn.
Yeah. No, it was all right. I appreciate the sheer lack of CGI.
Yeah. Maverick, look, I didn't plan this. I knew I'm not going to do rap, and then I just thought I'd introduce TCG and I'll see what comes to my brain. I didn't know it would be Katy Perry, but that's what my brain served up. So we just have to roll with it. Honestly.
I mean, to be fair, Katy Perry would.
Oh, scandal. All right. Yeah. Honestly, Harry and heel turn already. Right, before we get into it, folks, there is the announcement to make. I've got a special shill to make because we have a special stream tomorrow. I talked about this last week, but this is super cool. I'm really happy about it. And that is tomorrow we have the first regular literature stream. And I'll make that a little bit larger for you. There we go. That's lovely. Were you here for this? If you weren't, here's the announcement. I've run a couple of literature reading streams. I don't do it. I get someone with a nice voice on, usually waifu, and she reads some classic literature. We've done M.R. James ghost stories. We did Edgar Allan Poe recently, and they're just really lovely, really cozy. It's a nice way to get into the original source material for some of the horror we love. And after the last one, it was just such a good vibe. We decided, yeah, we really want to do these regularly. So the plan is at least fortnightly. We'll be doing a literature stream on Fridays at 8. So it'll be popping in just before Poe's Women's Hour stream. And it's not just going to be waifu. We're going to be joined by Amy, who you may know if you watch Poe's Law's Women Hour streams. Fantastically knowledgeable on literature. She came on when we covered Shirley Jackson's The Haunting, and we also got her on for the Mike Flanagan adaptation of it. But she really knows her stuff on literature. So tomorrow night, Amy's going to read one of the stories, I think The Music of Eric Zahn, and Waifu is going to be reading The Rats and the Walls, which is where that cat comes in. Because yes. If you know your Lovecraft cat memes, you know what we mean. If not, listen tomorrow. We will explain a certain situation we've had to deal with. But either way, it's going to be lovely. Yeah, it's a gorgeous book. It's so fantastic, and it's got everything in. Yes, so that's our go-to Lovecraft guide. All right, so pop in for that tomorrow, 8 p.m. and it should be really nice. We're going to be covering Lovecraft films all month, but this is a chance for you to hear what Lovecraft's writing actually sounds like, and I think you'll have a fantastic time. With that said, shall we get into it, folks? Shall we start discussing The Void?
Let's
go for it.
Let's go.
Where, if I can find my screeners, where are we? Here we are. Oof. So, quick intro to this. This is a very low budget film, and I would not have known that if I hadn't been looking into the production history. Quite nicely, this is coming from a couple of producers who are part of a production club. Oh, I think I've actually lost it. Gosh darn it. I'm going to have to find it again.
Astron 6 Productions.
What was that, Murgoot?
Astron 6 Productions.
That's them. I've lost my tab.
Yeah, you say it's low budget. Wasn't it a crowd-funded film?
Partially,
yes.
Okay.
I thought it was the whole thing was crowdfunded and done for 86k, and I was like, that's amazing.
Wow.
What the heck? No, they crowdfunded a certain aspect of it once one of the major backers dropped out.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Shop.
So was it $86,000 in total to produce?
No, it was 86 for the special effects, the physical
Right.
effects and monsters. And if
Got
you're
you.
watching
it
till
was
the
about 250,000 total, but they had to crowdfund to get their FX shop. They actually got some of Guillermo del Toro's. A project was going on near them. It was put on hiatus, and they agreed to come over once they had the funding.
Got you.
To do the practice.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, I have to say it's money well spent, because it definitely looks like a film that cost more than that. I did learn. Sorry, I'm sticking on the trivia side of it. I did learn that the hospital that the location was supposed to be shot was actually like a closed down school, and shortly after the film wrapped up producing, they'd actually demolished that building. So
their original, they did the underground scenes at a hospital, and then they put everything in one side of a partially burned hospital. We're working out of it, did the underground scenes, and then somebody came in and said, this is unsafe. It was from the province.
Right.
Kicked them out, and they had to find the abandoned school in Saint Sault Marie, or Sault Ste. Marie.
That's it. Yeah. It was Sir James Dunn Collegiate and a vocational school in Sault Ste. Marie, and that was in Canada, Ontario.
They did such a good job, I've got to say. Just it's little touches, like a fairly plain corridor, nothing too special about it. They'll just say like a trolley with bed sheets in, and I found it really convincing. Really convincing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it helped that the storyline was that they were packing it up and moving it because there had been a fire at the hospital, and so the premise of that environment was that there was very little there in terms of supplies and stuff, because it had all been packed up and moved along. So, that did help.
I noticed that was such a genius premise as well. If you want to know why no one's around at this hospital, there you go.
Yeah,
genius.
I love as well how this film gives away the premise, or gives away the story, like very early on. I think I might have mentioned this to you in the DMs, but if you like early on when the what's her name? It's the trainee. What's her name?
Oh,
Kim.
the one played by Ellen Wong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kim, when she's chatting to
Kim. Yeah.
one of the patients, and you sort of like it sort of pans to the TV for like a brief moment, and Night of the Living Dead's playing,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, okay, here we go. Yep, and then later on you find out it's about the dead rising, or the dead coming back to life, and the resurrections, and it's like, oh, okay.
It
I
was
see what
very
you did there. I
cheeky.
see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Very cheeky indeed. Marina, no, this is not same as Into the Void. That's I think Gaspar Noé, who is really interesting. From what I've seen, especially Irreversible, really impressed me. I don't know if I have the guts to cover Irreversible on stream because I'd have to watch it again, but that was an amazing atypical horror. But no, different. We're not going to do well. We'll cover the plot, but I don't think we'll kind of ruin it for you if you know what's happening, because I think it's such an experience that even knowing what's happening, you're going to enjoy it. Would you agree with that, guys?
This
Yes.
film, yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, though, isn't it? I mean, given that it's a Lovecraftian film, because when I first watched this, I was kind of like, I don't really know what happened. Sort of needed to wrap my head around it, and then as I was watching it through a second time, it sort of dawned on me. Oh, of course, yes, Lovecraft. You're not really meant to know, not really meant to fully understand the supernatural element of this film, and just sort of knowing that, I was like, yeah, okay, I can sort of get behind it now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it leans on that. I mean, there are so many influences in this. So, before I do the summary, right? So, Slim, thank you. You are a star. Everyone, we're on YouTube. You know the drill. Let's be liking, and I assume you have already absolutely smashed that subscribe button in with the fire axe that you've ripped off the wall. Presumably, you've already done that. And if you have friends who would like the streams that we do, I assume you've just gone to that stream with my channel and then just forced it on them like tentacles into their eyeballs, mouth, ears, just thoroughly violated them with recommendations for my channel. That's a normal thing to do, right? That's how we shill.
That is totally normal.
Good. I should also give you guys a quick chance to shill. Otherwise, we'll get straight into it.
Well, I'm trying to work on a video at the moment, but as you can probably tell, I've not been too great this week. I've not been feeling too great this week, so I'm hoping that my voice will get a bit, that my throat will clear up a bit by the weekend, so I can at least get some recording done. But yeah, it is a good case. If you've been sort of around sort of social media in the last week or so, it's a bit of an older one. Well, I say old, it's like 2020, but some people have sort of picked up on it now. It's all I will say is forgiveness is a virtue, but be careful who you give it to.
Oh yes, I know the one you're doing. That's
Yeah,
going to
you
be
do.
good when it comes out. In the meantime, while we wait for that, go check out TCG's Marianne Bachmeier video. That was very good. I like that. And didn't another friend of the channel look at Marianne Bachmeier recently?
Disturbing did, funny enough.
Disturbing, that's it. Yeah, I thought you
Disturbing did. Yeah, we didn't even know that we were both covering the same story. It was only when I think I posted it publicly somewhere, and he messaged me and he was like, just so you know, I'm doing this one too. I was like, oh, brilliant. But no, I actually know something interesting did happen the other day. I just want to briefly mention it. So I actually made a video about because I'd recently joined TikTok, and I thought, I'll do a story that was based off of that. And so I decided to talk about the TikTok suitcase murders. And yesterday I actually got a comment from the aunt of one of the victims, a positive comment, very positive. So if she happens to come across this, thank you. I will respond to it properly later. But yeah, I was really sort of touched by that. So thank you.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, that's happened before, hasn't it? Do I remember you got contacted by someone who was related to the thing?
I've had,
Am I misremembering that?
well, I've had people contact me who were like friends of certain cases, and then there was one person who really didn't like the fact that I was trying to raise awareness to the potential of the fact that their aunt's killer was going to be potentially released on parole. So, as you do, but yeah, it's a tricky game.
Yeah.
But I try and do it, as best I can.
Yeah. And Murgoot, I know you don't make any videos, but you do point people towards excellent content, so you are very worth a follow on Twitter.
Yep, at Murgoot. I do random stuff, movies, culture, mocking politics, geopolitics, science posting.
Always good. Yeah, everyone's links are in the description below. It's a bit of a scattered stream, isn't it? We're a bit... I wonder, it's appropriate to the film. We're just going to be all over the place. So we talked about this is incredibly low budget, and there is a really good making of video that Murgoot linked me to, and you can see just gorgeous old school cinema craft. Just people working really hard, working stupidly long hours on sets, improvising to make something work. It's kind of lovely. It's old school. And one of the things that works so well about this is that it is practical effects over and over. They really just wanted to do practical, original effects. So this has got some old school Rob Bottin, The Thing energy to it.
Yeah,
There's
about 90% is practicals. They actually, when we get to it, I'll explain it. It's pretty funny why they had to use CGI, but
yes. The bit where they admitted to CGI, I did wonder if they would. Once I knew the budget, I was like, here's how I would save some money. Did they do it? Yes, they did.
It's hilarious why they had to do it.
Yeah, it is. And something else I really like is that the Astron 6 production team, who are quite small, they were mostly making horror comedies. And
Manborg, the editor.
Yeah.
And I forget the third one that Father's Day.
Yeah. They were kind of pastiche. And they went on to do a follow-up, which I think got quite well known, Psycho Gorman. And I haven't seen it, so I can't comment too much on it, but it's something I'm less fond of. Because I think when you've got I understand when you've got a low budget, sometimes you play to your strength and you just kind of admit it looks goofy and you kind of roll with it. So early Peter Jackson stuff like Bad Taste, Brain Dead, just really leans into the fact that it looks a bit goofy because they couldn't get all the effects, and it just kind of tells you, don't take this super, super seriously.
Yeah.
But
I saw Manborg a while back, and it's truly god awful. It's almost at the line of so bad it's good, but doesn't quite fall into that.
Hold on, some Spanish dude has just live streamed my Marianne Bachmeier video.
¿Qué?
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Just the whole thing?
Yeah.
Did he dub over it?
No, he's literally like live reacting to it. Like, to be fair, he subscribed to the channel. Good man, but
hang on, TCG. Hassan isn't Spanish. I know he looks a bit mad, but he's not.
Oh, I love it. Oh, brilliant.
Hey, you've made it. People are starting to live stream and comment on your videos.
Oh, do you know, it's disappointing though. He's got 213,000 subscribers. Only 25 people are watching there. And come on.
Dos chicken nuggies, por favor.
Brilliant. just gonna
dear.
go in the chat now and say, "Hola." There we go.
Do it. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So what I was trying to get over is like, it can be fun to do the horror pastiche and do like, hey, it's horror, don't take it seriously. We're kind of goofy. Like, it's kind of fun, but I struggle to know what to do with those, because when the vibe is don't take it seriously, I kind of struggle to engage. That's just how I am. So I love that this is one where they took it very deadly seriously. There is barely any humor in this whatsoever, and I kind of like that. Am I sounding really weird when I say that? I don't know. But yeah, I like that they play this 100% straight, and I think it comes off really, really well. I just point out one more thing, because I got this still up because I wanted to show how well they did with converting the school into a hospital set. But there is a chap in the center frame. He does not have a big role in this, but he is an interesting guy. That is Art Hindle. And if that doesn't ring any bells to you, do not worry. I'm not saying that he was ever a megastar, but he should be reasonably well known. Art Hindle was in 2 films that we've covered a lot that we loved. Now, he was a main character in The Brood from David Cronenberg, which also revolved around body horror and creepy supernatural pregnancies. But hopefully the one you know him from best is his role as Jeff in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the love interest, or sorry, the boyfriend of course, I've forgotten her name now. The main female character. Oh, I'm shocking, aren't I? I never remember any character names. Anyway, so you should recognize him from that, but obviously this is a 2016 movie, not 1968. But I just thought it was really neat to see him, especially when this has got so much to do with creepy supernatural pregnancies.
Yeah, this was weird, man. this was weird.
Yeah.
The whole pregnancy stuff. Oh, that bit when she's like, "Don't do this," and he's like, "Don't do what? It's already done." And he like lifts down the top, and it's all like like belly's all like inflated.
Oh, hang on, I've got it right here.
Have
I've
you?
got it.
Oh,
where is it?
He's like,
yes.
And he's like, "You're so beautiful, Allison."
Oh man. Whoa, look at that. Lovely. Think of that pregnancy belly just undulating in the creepiest way. Like, I've seen a lot of creepy preggy belly shots. This is easily the best. It's the most disturbing. Oh. So, hey, Catania, good to see you. The Henry app as well. Good to see you as well. And J828, hello. Also, yes, good to see you. Good to see friends in the chat. Yeah. I've tried to dodge this because I know I need to do it, and I know it's me doing it this time, but we should quickly do the pint of Guinness summary. Folks, I'm assuming you've done the homework. I've seen so many comments from people saying they loved this. So I'm not as worried about spoiling it for you, but in case you haven't seen it and you want to get a rough idea of what this film is about so you can put things into context, let's do the pint of Guinness summary. Okay. So this starts off as a slightly odd mystery. We get a very weird cold open with a couple emptying out a house in the middle of nowhere, shooting someone and then burning them alive. And we are wondering what the heck is going on. And this is the start of a weird night. A policeman sees a survivor from that incident and takes him to a hospital. And the madness that they've just encountered follows them there. They find the hospital is surrounded by cult members, stopping them going out. People in the hospital start mutating, being possessed and transforming. It is madness. No one knows what's going on. the few survivors in this soon-to-be shut-down hospital have to just sort of board up and try and make it through the night as weird Lovecraftian transfigurations occur. They eventually realize that... sorry, I should say... Gosh, it's so hard doing the Pint of Guinness summary. Darn it, this is why I always offload it.
I'll do it.
Okay, you go for it. You go for it.
I'll do it. Opens up with my man holding a cigarette, shooting a woman and setting her on fire. Another man manages to get away. Then our protagonist of the film, Daniel, is driving along, he's actually parked up, minding his own business, and he sees that very man crawl onto the road. So he takes him to hospital, and at the hospital, he gets looked over. And while he's there, some weird things start to happen at the hospital. Like you mentioned, one of the nurses goes a bit AWOL, ends up getting shot by Daniel. Daniel was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. He then passes out as a bit of a weird episode, wakes up, there's another sheriff there, or a state trooper, goes to get his gun. But oh my God, there's characters from Squid Game hanging around outside. What's going on? He then gets attacked by one of them, goes back inside, falls on his ass again, and he's like, oh my God. And then by the time he wakes up, there's then the man with the guns back, and it's just backwards and forwards, like, oh my God, what's going on? And then people start dying, people start crying, people start rising. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the triangle imagery throughout, the spray painted triangle on the door of the murder house, the face plates of the cultists, and stuff that happens later on. A lot of things happen in threes.
Have we gone into detail about what happens to the nurse, Beverly? We gone into detail about that yet?
No, not yet. I mean, we can talk about that just in the synopsis. Ultimately, you're all driven. The finale happens when your man Daniel and the two perky lads from the beginning, who we find out are, not entirely bad guys. They're trying to shut this cult down. They have to go into the basement to rescue his wife, who has a name. I'm sure of it. In fact, it's Allison. They go in to rescue her, and they find out that the main doctor in the hospital is the big guy behind the cult, and he's doing big rituals to transform people. And it's all part of some amazing Lovecraftian, I suppose, ritual that we cannot comprehend and are not meant to comprehend. But my goodness, it is intriguing and fascinating. They do not want to spell it out for you, what's going on.
No.
Well, the only thing they do spell out is the doctor wants to resurrect his dead daughter as part of the ritual.
That was an odd element to it, but I mean,
Grief
we're making it. Oh, sorry, Murgoot, go ahead.
Grief does horrible things to people, and it plays throughout the entire plot. Several different people are riddled by grief. Yes,
very much so. Very much so. That's often the motivation. I thought one way to go into this was to start the discussion off with a simple question. What does this film make you think of? What does it remind you of?
This film, I'm trying to think. It did kind of give me The Thing vibes, minus the sort of who is it kind of guy. Are they human or not? Remove that. But just Hellraiser sort of sprung to mind as well.
Hellraiser 2 specifically.
It kind of gave me almost like 70s vibes, I'd say, as well. Just in terms of not aesthetic, but just because it was so removed from CGI. I just really
Mm.
appreciated like the practical effects, the over the top. Like it was a full on body horror kind of movie. And so, you know, some of the old classics around sort of like that time, the 80s especially, really, it felt like those kinds of films were really influenced by, or influenced this movie, I should say.
Most definitely. Just
Yeah.
on, since you mentioned Hellraiser, I'll just bring it up quickly. Now, I'm afraid there's so many flashing lights in this film that it is a bit of a nightmare trying to get screen caps of it.
yeah, especially the bit like sort of later on when when the state trooper gets sort of dragged away, and you know you sort of have the conflict, or you know the battle between the the monster and the father and the son. Character names, not
Beverly Monster.
that's who they're credited as. The flashing lights are going off quite badly there. If
Yeah.
our photo, if you suffer from any sort of photosensitivity, you know you're going to be tweaking on the ground watching this film a couple of times.
Oh, worse than the OG Pokemon run. But
Worse, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So this
Porygon.
bit specifically, I mean, they're not shy about it in the making
No.
of documentary. They are specifically naming movies. They know what their influences are.
Well, yeah, I mean,
And they just own it, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, Night of the Living Dead's obviously, you know, the premise. The premise, I would imagine, is inspired by that, and there's, you know, obviously there's a little shout out by them playing it on the television.
Definitely. Just on Hellraiser, though, they're not even, they are deliberate about this. So this is a shot where the character called the Son is escaping from basically the full descent into Lovecraftian
Yes.
non-Euclidean space. He's going through corridors that are covered in decaying flesh, and it's just shrinking with a monster following him. And when he gets out of this gap, just makes it, he's suddenly back in a normal hallway.
Yeah.
That is straight out of Hellraiser. Kirsty does the same thing in a hospital, followed by the thing that is very demonically phallic. I think I called it the Terror Dong in a video.
I think you did.
Yes. It's an obvious homage, but it's lovely. It's very nicely done. And I think, Murgoot, you're on the money that otherwise the vibe is incredibly like Hellraiser 2, where you're down in the sort of Lovecraftian nightmare world of Labyrinth. It's got that vibe as well, but it also has its own energy. Sort of the ultimate villain is basically skinless, but he's not just a copy of Frank Cotton. He's not just, you know, the final version of Sam Neill's character in Event Horizon. He has got his own vibe to him, which looks really cool.
Like it's somewhere in between Uncle Frank and the vampire out of Michael Mann's The Keep.
I've not seen it.
I've not seen that either.
Should I see The Keep?
Some people like it. Some people hate it. It's worth a watch to me because it's one of Michael Mann's first movie productions. He moved from commercials to cinematic, and F. Paul Wilson wrote the novel The Keep. If you haven't read any of his stuff, start with Keep, move to The Tomb. The whole Repairman Jack saga is very, very good.
Okay. The one thing I remember about The Keep, if I remember this correctly, is that Rick Mail was a extra in it, which may mean nothing to you, Murgoot, but for us Brit bongs, that's pretty cool.
There were a lot of British actors in that. I mean, it was set on location. I don't know if it wasn't Romania, but I think it was Czechoslovakia, but it's meant to be Romania. And the Germans take the keep, and the hero has to warn the Nazis off because they keep trying to steal the crosses. that are holding the vampire in.
Okay. Murgoot, how about yourself? What did this remind you of? What else? I am
John
fishing for a
Carpenter's
particular
The
movie.
Thing meets Hellraiser 2 meets it's on the tip of my tongue.
I'm looking for it. I'm waiting for it from you. I'm waiting for it from chat. I'm looking for a particular movie.
I just had it. The cultist aspect.
Yes.
Not Rosemary's Baby, but similar. Brain donor moment. Go ahead.
You might be thinking. I was going to say Prince of Darkness.
That would do it.
Yeah, like I get
Alice
massive.
Cooper as the demonic zombie was a perfect cameo in that movie.
Oh, that was so good. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about Prince of Darkness, but it had interesting stuff going on in it. I might just adjust the image window. Let's see how we do. Is that any better? That looks better. Okay. Yeah. Just got that thing of people are the specific. Yes, Jay. Yes, Assault on Precinct 13. Absolutely. So it's another Carpenter. It's what he likes. He loves a good siege. Because he also used it in the Fog as well. He finished up in a siege.
I was just thinking of the Fog, funnily enough.
Yeah, very underrated. I really like it.
What, the Fog or Assault on Precinct 13?
Both of them actually.
Both. Yeah, I really like the Fog.
It's not like as fully like giving it the Carpenter kind of cool attitude that his early stuff has. But it feels like an echo of that. Like everyone's quite confident except for Kim, and I kind of love that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of character sort of establishment quite early on in the film. Obviously, when Daniel gets stabbed and he comes back into the hospital, you see then Kim freezes up, don't you? Which then happens again later on in the movie.
I'll get her up actually, just in case there are any Scott Pilgrim appreciators in the chat. I know that movie's now weirdly controversial. I really like it.
I don't know if anyone else spotted this as well, but it was actually in this scene. Was it this scene? Did she say it? Oh no, it was when Alison and Daniel were talking. When they first sort of meet up, and that particular scene ends with Alison turning around and go, "Oh, I better go check on Beverly, make sure she's not killing the intern."
Yes,
and of course, there's a little bit of foreshadowing there, because
that was great. That was great. Yeah. I mean, you were talking about the character work there. I want to say like this movie was a weird mix for me. Because some of the character work was absolutely beautiful, and then there are a couple of moments where I wanted to say, revise your dialogue. This is first pass dialogue, damn it. And it happened in like the same scene almost. I'll get it up quickly.
Just actually with that image that you just had up, I've just remembered another one as well. Where Kim turns around to that lad and says, "You're more likely to die in hospital than anywhere else."
Yes.
It's just like there's like little one-liners and little bits of character that just sort of almost like predict what's going to happen in the future of the films. As the film progresses, it's I really really like that. And if you give it a few I've watched this film quite a few times while I was while I definitely wasn't working, but no, I've watched it quite a few times. So every time I've watched it, I've sort of spotted like a little bit of a little like an example of that each time. I also like as well, and I don't know if this is intentional, but the character, the father, do you know his real name?
It's Daniel Fathers.
It is, yes. And did you know Mick Biscoff, who plays the son? was cast after. It was like the day after they started shooting for the film,
Huh.
and I kind of think he had no lines because there was no log written for him.
I wondered
Well, he
about that.
was
It's,
stabbed in
Yeah.
the neck. So
Well, yeah, I know, but yeah. You write that in. Oh, we have a character. We've got no lines for him. So what do we do? Oh, yeah, he just got stabbed in the neck.
I thought it was a bit cheap, but it made it interesting that he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just a bit of character appreciation. I really liked how much they didn't overplay this. This is a relationship between Daniel and Alison here. So you get little things like he's a little reluctant to go to her hospital and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Then you find out, yeah, they're married, but then they're separated, and then you get a little bit of what's going on. It's just sort of nice work. It feels mature. They aren't like a spiteful couple, having a right go at each other. They are. It's something a bit new. They are married, but they've got they've lost
they
a kid,
lost their
and it's
baby.
just too much. And I thought that's interesting. That's something I haven't seen much, and they handle it in a kind of lovely, mature adult way. So I was absolutely loving that on the second watch. I loved how it was done with basically no expository dialogue whatsoever until the doctor turns up, and it's like
and then he
30
expo
seconds
dumps.
late. He literally says, "As you know, Daniel, the loss of a child." I'm like, oh, I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
Kenneth Welsh.
Yeah.
Kenneth Welsh is a character actor. He's been in so much. He's perfect as the Doctor because he slips between good guy and bad guy so easily.
Yeah, very well. He's just authoritative, I think, which is nice. But he looks kind of cuddly, so it's all good. But yeah, this just a sort of mix of very good character work, and then I've got to say, sorry, film, some absolutely shoddy exposition dumping that did make me groan a bit. I was like, oh, you've got to find a better way of doing that, man.
If I can try and defend that particular scene though,
Yeah, go on.
excuse me, because obviously, you've got two work colleagues in Richard and Alison, and it seems to be quite a small community. Everyone seems to know each other. I don't think it would be unreasonable for a person in Richard's position to want to try and offer almost like professional advice to somebody who is a grieving father at that moment, and the fact that as part of that exposition dump, he draws on his own personal experience as well, through losing his daughter. So while I can sort of appreciate that, that there is a bit of an exposition dump going on, there is a purpose behind it, and it actually also sort of shines a light a little bit on Richard's character as well. Again, for later on in the movie, you're aware obviously he spells it out again sort of later on in the film, but you when it sort of when the big sort of reveal happens, you know why he's what he's doing already, and just because of that conversation, which to me felt quite appropriate for that particular, because like you said, the Daniel and Alison weren't on great terms. They were going through a rough patch because of what had happened, and just being someone close to the family, close to the just being a close-knit community, I can imagine that would be a sort of conversation that would happen both in a professional and a personal capacity in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely loved the dynamic. It was just a choice of dialogue, I think. Yeah, but I can appreciate that. And still on character work, I thought I'd just say before we get into sort of like how they direct it, I'm gonna absolutely stan, as the cool kids say, for Kim. I love her. She is fantastic. I love her being useless. And she never gets competent, and she's never good.
Well, I mean, there's one where there's like loads. I mean, this is towards the end of the film when there's like loads of dead Squid Game contestants, shall we call them, laying around, and I don't know if it's implied that she ended them.
I got the vibe that she had locked herself away with an axe when it all went down, and I like it because I think a bigger studio movie would look at her and say she has to girl boss it. You know?
But it's off screen. She does kill the one cultist who goes to find her. The rest of them walk out with, what's her name? The pregnant girl.
Yeah. What's her name?
What's her name? It's not Beverly. It's Maggie. I think it's Maggie.
Maggie.
It?
Yeah. Maggie.
There we go. Yeah, that was a nice little twist. But yes, I think a major studio would say that you've got to have your younger intern, especially, eye roll here. We don't like commenting on it, but your young diverse intern has to actually be the most amazingest person ever and not appreciated, etc., etc. And Kim is just really believable. I like that she's really believable as just a kid who's kind of convinced herself she knows everything. And then actually when it comes to it, she doesn't. And she just has these competent older people to look up to. And I loved it. Her sort of conflicted panicking when she's actually met with a medical emergency is wonderful.
Yeah.
It just made it so much more realistic. I loved her for it. It was endearing how she was panicking because she was suddenly dropped in the middle of deep chaos and didn't know what to do after thinking she was above everything earlier. It was awesome. I loved seeing this.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it sort of sets it up well for later on in the film as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You also they don't overplay the fact that Daniel starts off being kind of put down by the more experienced
my
chap.
God, man!
And then ultimately, he gets to prove himself quite a lot.
Yeah, in the first act of this film, the geezer spends more time on his backside than he does standing upright.
Yeah, he's constantly bullied in the early part of this film.
Yeah. It just completely changes from the second act onwards, though. He somehow, becomes this uber competent, police officer when everyone's, like you say, everyone's essing on him. And again, I think there's a key because quite a few people talk about his dad being a decent man, a good man, a decent cop, and again, just. You don't that's not really expanded on much more, but again, I feel like that's the film telling us that Daniel is going to end up the same way as his dad, and that's dead.
I had a slightly different read of it. It's it's because he was being positioned quite a few times next to his dad. His dad was the big guy, and he's unfavorably compared, and he's lost his kid. So it's sort of meant to sort of, how can I don't think I'm wording this well, but it's the idea that he's a failure as a father and a failure as a son. So they're really undermining him.
Yeah, that would make more sense actually.
That
would make more sense.
What's done so well in this is, as you say, he doesn't start to get his stuff together until a kind of believable point. Something nightmarish, something unbelievable, something unforeseeable happens, and it would have killed him completely. It is only the fact that the father and son team turn up that saves him. That is, the people who've been a bit forewarned turn up prepared. Otherwise, he'd have died. And it's that lets him level up, as it were, and be prepared. Also, when he gets the right motivation. I'm going to try and show this. I don't think Susan is going to love this particularly. Also, chat, bet some gore upcoming.
Let's get some context, Susan.
I mean,
it is
maybe
not
it's-
real. It's from a movie. It's fake. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real.
Yeah, we're skipping past the first kill, which is like the Beverly moment, which is amazing. And let's go back to Beverly. If we don't go back to Beverly, chat, remind us. Just give us a. What about Beverly though? Just give us one of them if we forget about her after this. But just when we're talking about the character arc, this is why I want to skip to the second thing, which was when absolute Lovecraftian Urotsuki Doji hell breaks loose. And that is this bit. The chief of police, who's just been saying he's crap, he's a terrible policeman, his dad was so much better,
Again,
gets captured by the mutated, risen, transfigured corpse of Beverly the nurse.
But
and
again, this is almost. Sorry to interrupt. I'm so sorry to interrupt. But this is another example of like reverse sort of predicting, because it's the state trooper who is supposed to be acting like the competent one who knows what to do in stressful situations, and he even outright says to Daniel, is like, what would your father say if he saw you in this S show? And then literally when all hell's breaking loose, he is the one who is frozen solid and is unable to act accordingly. And it's not even the monster that does it; it's the hostage situation, essentially.
Yeah, there's some. If that sounds confusing, chat, there's a drama with the guy that escaped from the cult house at the very start of the film, who Daniel has brought to the hospital. He's being pursued by the father and son who want to finish him off, but he's all panicky, and so he sort of takes a hostage to try and avoid himself being captured or killed because he doesn't know what's going on. So that's the bit we're talking about. But now that I've got this up and got the stream demonetized, inevitably, yeah, this is. Beverly has been killed once by Daniel, and he was messed up enough by that, but this risen transfigured form is something else. It destroys a state trooper. Tentacles take his eyeballs out. It is amazing. The weird gore starts coming, and it don't stop coming. And it takes the father and son to use a hunting rifle and 2 axes to put this thing to rest.
It's a glorious 1 solid minute of hacking into the practical special effects. Just blood and ichor everywhere.
Ichor is a fantastic description. You do see the monster. There is a strobing light that has been knocked down, so you can see it, but you get your view interrupted constantly, which helps you never get a full picture of what it's like. But what also helps is that the thing is, in a Lovecraftian way, very hard to describe. It doesn't have limbs where you would think it has limbs. It appears to have about 2 heads at most.
Oh, that's one of my favorite parts. That's one of my favorite parts of that. Father blows Beverly Monster's head off, and then the brain case slowly rises up from the back, and you're just like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, for everyone who said this reminded of them of the Thing, absolutely. This is that. I don't even know what to hit. Where do I try to get the critical hit on? Like, literally, they don't know how to approach it, and this thing behaves in just an unfathomable way. That, as I said, the tentacles that come out and just start invading a body that's working on are amazing. It's when this happens, I think you're not prepared for it. in the film, and it goes so much further than you have any reason to expect.
Mm.
Yeah.
You, like the characters, are caught unawares, and it works fantastically.
Well, father and son go berserk on Beverly and cut off the state trooper's head to get the tentacles out, and then just start hacking into the body as much as possible.
Mm.
That was remarkable special effects for the budget that they had.
Yeah. Chat, if you haven't seen it, it's hard for us to do it justice, but you will see the quality of effects and just be amazed that it was done for as cheap as it was done for. And it blows my mind how this is maybe something we should cover as a special topic, but just the way the sort of interesting financing of movies and sort of how something can cost so much and just look nowhere near as good as this. There are some interesting essays on it. Apologies, I just got a hot chocolate delivered. It is amazing. I have marshmallows,
Very nice.
folks. Oh,
Very nice.
I tried to subtly carry on, but was also sneaking the marshmallows as well. Yeah, I've got a high marshmallow preference, guys. What can I say? Yeah. So, TCG, how do you feel about this one? When you saw this scene, were you prepped for it?
It was very chaotic, and I loved it. I loved it. The whole, as I say, the whole S show going on when the father and son turn up, and a good old little tweaker takes on a hostage. Everyone's focus is on that situation going on, and I just sort of love how the camera just pans to the door that Beverly was in. In fact, while it's all going on, I think Beverly, they showed a bit where like the tentacles all coming out of her face, and she's resurrected again, and then you see. You see the door sort of just slowly open, pans back to everyone. They're all freaking out. And then, and I love the way they did this when you see the Beverly monster sort of go behind the state trooper, pans to the chaos, and you hear just this, ah. And then when it pans back, you just see him being dragged. It's not like you see the guy get grabbed and lifted or anything like that. It just goes from standing behind to then dragging away. And that felt very old school in the way that they done that. Really appreciated that. And then the whole bit where they're trying to figure out like, how do we kill this thing? And they go to town on it. It's brilliant and remarkable practical effects. I mean, you know me. I love me practical effects over my CGI.
Oh, same,
it was really it was so delightful to see such hard work get smashed up so quickly. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, it's great stuff. It's such good stuff. I
would have appreciated some less strobing though. That'd be my only criticism. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more clearly, but I can understand why they went with that.
Yeah, it's a sort of the balance between less is more and never giving you enough. Like, I don't know. It always leaves you wanting more. Another John Carpenter classic that we covered on the other end of the spectrum, so that barely shows you anything, is In the Mouth of Madness, where their sort of Lovecraftian horrors are in the tunnel at the end. It's sort of, you really only get the briefest flashes or their background and blurry. And I was like, I just want some more. Show me some more.
I did again because of the Lovecraftian links. I did sort of think, are they in? I mean, there's various reasons why they could do it. Maybe to hide some sort of like poor looking parts to hide, like they do with CGI in the dark to hide obvious CGI bits. Any sort of obvious visual effects. You can easily cover up with strobe lighting, but not only that, but because it's Lovecraftian, there's always that air of mystery about what people are seeing. Again, sort of like the color the Nick Cage film that we covered a while
Color
back.
Out of Space.
Color Out of Space. You know, the whole premise of that one was it was supposed to be an indescribable color. The film you just mentioned moments ago. You know, the beasts that words couldn't describe. It felt like they were sticking true to that sort of mythology of Lovecraft's work by just like you say, giving you just enough, or in fact, or giving you just not enough. You know, what does that look? Oh no, it's gone. Okay, I can't see that. Oh, can see that. Oh,
You
wait,
see a bit where you're pretty sure
Yeah.
that's a skull on
Yeah.
something that looks like a neck, but it's it's nowhere near the top of the head. What the heck?
Yeah. Why is there a brain
don't-
popping up?
Don't give anyone enough time to piece together. Just have them confused about this massive limbs. Whereas,
Yeah.
you know, like another carpenter on the other end, which I think possibly shows you too much, is Prince of Darkness. That shows you, I think, far too much of the creatures, and you get a bit desensitized. Very interestingly, Prince of Darkness has an effect very similar to Beverly here, where the whole face is missing. The skin has been taken off. Our ultimate evil creature basically looks like that, to the level that I almost wonder if it's a reference. But chat, we came back to it. We came back to Beverly. We didn't forget. We're so smooth.
Yeah, I wondered if that was some sort of reference. Are you thinking of reference to Prince of Darkness as well? Then
I did wonder. Right, they're just very interested in faces being cut off in this.
I do have an image. I don't know if it would be suitable to show.
Give it a go.
But I'll just get it sent to you now. And
I'll hop into Discord for it.
Keep going. There it is. Yeah. But this looks very sort of almost like Richard towards the end. It almost looks like a spitting image of Richard.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh man, that's really Hellraiser too. Okay, I'm going to get this up on stream.
Susan, it's not
sorry,
real. Susan, it's not real.
Apologies.
Susan, it really isn't real.
Okay, so chat, have I told you about the tomato and mayonnaise facial mask? It's amazing. Here's my friend Michelle trying the tomato and mayo facial mask. It's a beauty treatment. We love a beauty treatment on this channel, don't we, guys?
Hell yeah.
Oh,
I'm actually thinking of doing makeup and true crime.
yeah, look. So you can see it's full of antioxidants, and it's good exfoliation there on this beauty mask that is not gore. You know?
Very true.
Do you think we got away with that, guys? I think we're okay. All right. But yeah, Hellraiser vibes. I love it. I did always find it weird that her hair is largely kind of untouched, but yeah, you can see the. It's not exactly the same, but I can kind of see a resemblance there.
Yeah. Let me. I'll try and see if I can find Richard as well.
Yeah.
Just for comparison, who also happens to. Oh God, hold on. Yeah.
People are liking our beauty tips.
Yes,
that's great. It's nice we can have some variety on this horror channel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get the vibe. I mean, I would say also this is one of the effects that I feel didn't work as well, and they probably knew this and chose to keep it quite distant, which was a sensible move. But for this, if you can't see it, yeah, Beverly has cut her face off. The amazing bit about this is it's a very different vibe of scare. It's a completely different tone. It's no big noise. It's just mounting eeriness. Something is just a bit wrong when Daniel goes into the room and Beverly is with the vulnerable patient. And she's just moving a bit weirdly. And then you see on the other side of her, and she is sliding a scalpel in and out of his eye
Oh,
in
it's
this most
horrible.
nonchalant way. And it's so unnerving because she doesn't announce it.
Yeah. I've sent you a picture of
All
Richard.
right.
Early,
Yes.
not for long.
I'll give that a go. I think we'll be fine. Susan is accepting and understanding.
This was Dr. Richard trying on the exfoliating mask as well.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Maybe
in
for
fact,
like International Men's Day, we should encourage our male viewers to give the ultra exfoliant treatment, which is what I'm showing you now, not gore. I would never show gore on this channel because it's a family friendly stream.
In fact,
there's our good friend Richard.
Yeah, Dr. Richard Powell, I have a quote here. He says 9 out of 10 dentists approve of the tomato exfoliating face cream.
Oh, it's doing him so much good. I think you can see that. Oh, bless you. Bless you.
Don't I look beautiful, Alison? I've been using my tomato exfoliating routine for 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
And my skin is visibly de-aged.
Oh, it really has. It's just the years are coming off there. Years,
quite literally.
Not Susan. Yeah. Oh, Mima. Yeah, you're right. I think it's a pomegranate mask. Yeah. Sorry. So absolutely fine to show.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Look, if Sam Smith can be shown to kids, we can get away with this. No way.
Unless we talk about that about.
Yeah. I love that I got Harrian to watch that.
Oh, poor Harrian.
I know. Bless him. Bless him. All right. Yeah. So this, I do feel like this was one of the effects that did not work as well. So they did the sensible thing. They kept it in the background. They kept it distanced. That was a good choice. As it is quite unique in the form of horror that's happening here. It's one of the slow ones. They don't do the understated, just unnerving horror as much. So I really liked it. Murgoot, did you have any thoughts about the scene? Basically the killing Beverly does?
Just this is the point where it started ramping up, and it's first time I saw it, it's what's she doing? Oh God, she's sawing his eye out. And then it just ramped up from there.
Yeah, it did. It certainly did. Oh my goodness. Just such a different type of scare. And at that point, it's a scare on the level you can handle. So it makes, he's still broken up by this. He comes out, he vomits. It's quite endearing. And then just where it goes from here, you cannot be prepared for it,
The puking and then the passing out and having the vision of the pyramid under the cloudy sky. That seemed kind of out of place until
definitely
later on when it started happening again. And then you realize the tie that he's being affected by the doctor's ritual. So
yeah, it's getting into his head.
Yeah, Dead Space vibes, which is brilliant because Dead Space remake came out earlier. Was it this week or like last week? So this was a great time to watch this film actually, because I'm seeing those again. I'm seeing those like monsters, and I'm just thinking that they could easily be on Dead Space. And obviously Isaac gets visions as well because he's been affected by I forget what it's called. I'm not well, but yeah, the whole supernatural thingy bob. He's getting affected. Daniel's getting affected the same way. I feel, Dead Space was what 2008. This is what 2016.
Yeah, it could be an influence. I mean, they're
Could
not
be.
ashamed of it. In the making
No.
of, they talked about being influenced by horror movies, including Silent Hill years. Including
Ah, there you
Silent
go.
Hill. Sorry
Yeah.
you can't stick around, but thanks for dropping in, and I will definitely remember that. A 10 out of 11.
Catch you later, Years.
Excellent. I love Years' rogue rating. She has never gone for the burgers. She has done 11 ghosts every time.
Bloody vegans.
I think Years would demand that I defend her from accusations of veganism. But yeah.
Well, she just needs to adopt the burger method, and then my suspicions will.
There we go. Yeah.
Be...
I mean, something of the traditionalist in me, the William Castle appreciator, feels that I should demand 13 ghosts, but you know. Yeah. Years is always doing her own thing, bless her. Yeah. Gosh, where were we? Oh yeah, the idea of the visions getting into his head as the ritual goes on, brilliant. Also, really reminded me of Event Horizon.
Sam Neill's slow descent into madness.
Yeah, and the sort of ultimate monster. I got big Sam Neill vibes, except I'm going to say, an even better voice. Like the vocals on the guy at the end was absolutely amazing. I loved that so much.
Who was the second actor for the Doctor?
Let's see.
Because they got a much skinnier guy for the Doctor Reborn.
I'm not sure. I mean, I knew it couldn't be the same chap.
Wasn't it a guy called David Scott?
That could be it.
No, he has a default avatar on IMDb, so I can't give you.
Yeah, deformed Powell or transformed Powell.
There we go. Transformed Powell. Yeah, that was amazing.
Oh wow!
Let's maybe get a brief shot of that.
Sorry, just to let you know, he is David Scott is known for 300, Outlander, Resident Evil Afterlife, and X.
And X. Oh, the recent one. I've been told I need to watch that, but I was a little skeptical about that one.
When you say what, Jason X?
Oh, Jason X. I thought you meant X, the Ty West one.
No.
Mia Goth. Oh, Jason X. No, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a hoot.
Just looks like it's makeup department in each. Yeah, makeup effects, actor. Yeah, he's done quite a bit, but normally been sort of stuff. So fair enough.
Yeah, speaking about those kind of creature effects, this was a lovely one. This guy.
Oh yeah. What is stuntman? He's a contortionist.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
definitely.
They made that creature especially for him, and he's absolutely hysterical. I've seen him in interviews. He's wild. He's hilarious.
Yeah. It was great. I saw this effect. So if you can't see clearly, chat, if you're just listening, you've got a guy on a humanoid thing. I'll go with humanoid. It's Lovecraft. What can we do? It's moving on all fours in what you might call a crab walk. If you can picture that, moving at speed. And yeah, as they say, this guy's a contortionist. And I thought they had cheated it at first. The typical way is to get someone just moving on all fours and you put a mask on their head and the mask is backwards and it looks like they're crab walking. And then I paid attention to the joints and it's like, no, this guy is literally just crab walking at fast speed. Now, they had an effect like this in The Exorcist that they didn't get to use, I believe. Did they actually end up cutting that out? Do you guys remember? I'm pretty sure they cut out the crab walk.
They cut some of it out.
With that one, they had to have a fairly elaborate rig to help the person move properly. so they wouldn't fall. This contortionist, he can just move at speed like this. There was another one where I'm remembering a crab walk where they did do this sort of cheap backwards mask thing. And it just didn't work as well. I'm afraid it is escaping my brain at the moment. You know how it is, chat, unfortunately. Can any of you think of that? A crab walk where they faked it and just have the mask on backwards?
I can't think of anything that springs to mind. No.
Ah, I swear we've seen it recently. Okay, do not worry about it, folks. Anyway, the point is, they did this really well. They
Troy
had a guy.
James is his name.
What's his name there?
Troy James.
Troy James.
He's
Yeah,
been in a lot of movies. He's hilarious in interviews.
Oh, very good stuff. Yeah, he's oh, sorry, I thought I was gonna have a big creaky door there. Yeah, he's brilliant. This is maybe it's a bit of a giveaway about the production, but they said in the making of that they had a bunch of ideas for what they call gags in the industry. A gag to a filmmaker is what an effect is to a magician. So it's just it's a type of shot. It's a type of thing you're going to pull off for the audience. So I'd say an effect instead of a trick. They had these ideas for amazing things, and this guy was someone they got in touch with, and we're going to work him into the movie. So if the bit where everyone moves into the basement seems a bit chaotic, it is chaotic. It is just
It's meant to be.
Yeah, it's a breakdown. I mean, I kind of yammered on for ages. Just to give a setup, we're talking now. This is basically, we finished largely with the above ground hospital stuff.
Did you guys get to Allison's abduction?
No. I was going to. We should talk about that briefly, and then that leads us into everything happening here. Murgoot, would you like to lead on that?
Well, Maggie's gone into contractions, and Allison tells Kim to watch over Maggie. Allison has to run to the destroyed wing of the hospital to get the medicines for a C-section. She runs over there, and everybody's looking around. Plot proceeds, and the sheriff turns around and says, Allison's still over there. I'm going to go look for her, and she's gone. And then comes back and has Kim guide him down into the basement. And it's, okay, I'm in the basement. I found a door. It's continuing going down. Kim's like, wait a minute. There's not supposed to be a door there. There's not another basement. Where are you going? And then, of course, the radio starts breaking up.
Oh, it's a classic. It's a Silent Hill moment, but I love it. I love the sort of radio interference tech breaking down because of the other stuff. There's a really cool thing that they did here. And because we didn't do an exhaustive synopsis, if you haven't seen it, you might have missed it. Or if you watched it, you might have missed it. I only caught it on my second go. It is incredibly high tension with all the regular people after the first monster attack. Basically, the father and the son want to kill everyone. They think they're all cultists. They think everyone needs to die to shut the cult down because they're pretty sure that the cult comes from the hospital. It's actually logical. So Daniel is trying to argue with them, and Allison also wants to go and get meds. So Daniel persuades them to come with him to his car to get a shotgun. His shotgun's in the car. And while he's doing that, that's basically to get them away so that Allison can go and get the medicines that Maggie needs for the birth. And I just thought that's good plotting. He never spells it out. He never says that's what I'm doing. But I can read between the lines that's why he tried to do that. And I just thought that was really good.
Yeah. One point that we may have overlooked was after father and son killed Beverly, they loaded up the body on the gurney.
Oh yeah.
What do we do with the body? We don't want it resurrecting. Throw it on a gurney, light it on fire, and roll it out into the parking lot of the cultists.
Yeah. I love that. That might be one of the few moments of subtle comedy in this that they didn't overplay, but was quite naturally funny.
It was also smart.
Yeah, it was smart. We should also point out that the guy running from the cult in the first place, as part of his hostaging, he stabs our doctor, which is sort of throwing us off the scent when the doctor then comes back as the ultimate villain. It's nicely done. And
Sorry, just quickly on just quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just quickly on the bit where they take Beverly and they put her out on the gurney and set her on fire. Again, sort of another throwback to Night of the Living Dead, perhaps, because that's what they started doing with the dead inside, didn't they? They chuck them out and set them on fire.
How have we not covered Night of the Living Dead yet?
How have we not? I know, right? We need to.
Zombie arc.
Yes.
Early zombie arc. It's
yes.
We're gonna do it, guys. We're gonna do it. We can end the first part with Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The doctor's been stabbed in the neck. Chaos ensues. Allison goes for the medication. While everybody's running around, it pans a shot and the doctor's body is missing. That's when you know something's really up.
It's good. It's just something you see. You know, they make sure you're aware of it. Although you might lose in the logistics whose body it was. But then just a brilliantly shot scare. Allison is in the medicine supply area, and she's kind of blocking the doorway with her head. It's all natural. She ducks out the way to get something, and suddenly the shadow of the doctor is behind her. And I don't mind telling you that at that point, waifu freaked the heck out.
Yeah, that did make me jump.
No. I'm grasping her up now, but it was brilliant. She was properly freaked out by that.
Yeah, she weren't the only one. I love that.
It was so well done because it just wasn't telegraphed at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're not expecting it at that point because you don't know the truth about Richard at that point. So for him to just appear from out of nowhere, like,
you're prepped for the idea that the dead can come back, but you're not. Your attention isn't fully on him. John Gorris, when's Tombs of the Blind Dead? Is that a 70s one? Give me a date for that. We could do it for the zombie arc. Yeah, that was great. This is what I was saying about you've got such a variety of horror, and I think they're actually incredibly light on jump scares, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the jump scares would have detracted from the horror of the creature effects, I think. Just walking, we haven't gotten there, but walking into the abattoir was just like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. But yeah, you touched on a really good point, as well as the sort of very nicely done side scare where you've just got a pure tension game as Daniel and the father and son go out to get the shotgun from the police car, and the car has moved and the cultists are there, and it's kind of like a game of what's the time, Mr. Wolf, or what else do people call that? Grandmother's footsteps. The equivalent of the first game in the Squid Game, that one. Basically, every time they look away, the cultists are closer. which is possibly now we're talking about the cultists. I'll get one up quickly, but maybe we should talk about the only CGI in the movie. How about that?
Yeah,
Go
that
for
was
it, Murky.
Yeah.
they were setting up
I'm
a shot outside where the sheriff goes out and he ends up getting stabbed by one of the cultists, and he stands up and sees all of them standing there getting closer. And they originally had all the extras and the FX guys standing out there, but it started raining in the middle of the shoot, and all the costumes just started wilting. So they took the single cultists, and reproduced them in CGI to make them all look
no.
not in not the wilted, wet, dripping white robes.
How did I not know that?
They did it really well, I think. You know.
Well, it was a dark scene, and it's simple, still figures, so it looks okay. It's not janky like low budget CGI normally is, because they had all the right effects for it. Single solitary figure. He's not moving. He's white on a black background, and it was just easy just to copy, cut, and paste it throughout the film.
Yeah. So, and it did a good job, you know. It was a thing I wondered about. Just my brain was just saying, if you've got 85 grand for this, do you hire 20 people and make 20 costumes, or do you have maybe 2 people and just duplicate them? I love being right. Yeah.
Well,
So
they had the costumes. They had they just had the FX guys go out in the costumes. It's just the weather did not help at all.
alas. Okay, just a second. All right, Jonathan, that is 71. I'd probably do it in a second zombie arc, because I'd maybe like to spend a little bit on something like White Zombie, and I Walked with a Zombie first.
Oh yeah.
Before we get into like 70s zombies. Also, Kim Newman's book Nightmare Movies risks boring the reader with a description of a whole wave of 60s Spanish zombies. So we would probably have to look at one of those as well. It's a weird amount of Spanish zombie movies that are covered in that. I was surprised. And Marina, yeah, I would be up for that, because very, very early in the channel's history, I did a video on Pet Sematary, and it's just crap because I didn't know how the heck to edit. And it's awful. And I've kind of meant to redo that, but maybe we just do a stream on it would be good. So I'd be very up for covering Pet Sematary and the remake as well. So
yeah, I'd like to do that. I mean, I haven't seen the movies. I've only ever read the book.
Yeah, I would love to, actually, because there's so much you can say about it, and I really like both versions as well. They go for very different vibes.
Well, Fred Gwynne stole the first movie right off.
Oh, completely. It's such a memorable performance, and the way he's talking about the rod is he gets away with it. He's adorable.
The attack by Gage on his character, that was one where I actually gasped in the film, because I felt that when he swiped the knife across.
Yeah, it's a moment. It's a heck of a moment. Yeah, I think we might have to. I mean, hey, look, we've got plenty of room between anthology arcs. We could do it. Yeah. So, Murgoot, you talked about a lovely line that Kim gets to deliver about just the whole. This isn't supposed to be there. There isn't supposed to be a second stairway, and this is a lovely bit of classic Lovecraft that is often really understated in his work, of just impossible space. So in the case of
Impossible
Charles,
space or
yeah,
hidden space or both. I
yeah,
think it's funny when they push the junkie out in front of the sacrificial bait. I just
yeah.
had to laugh. It was smart, but it's quite cold and ruthless too.
Oh, it's so savage. I mean, they kept that he spent the whole movie like being threatened with being killed and tortured, and he's not a very sympathetic character. But for them ultimately to just hand him off to monsters is so harsh. But in the case of Charles Dexter Ward, when you finally have a couple of characters investigating the place where Charles Dexter Ward has disappeared to, his secret farm complex, they discover a trapdoor, they go down there, and then find horrible things. They come up again. One of them has basically passed out, and when they look again, the stairway has just completely disappeared. It's not there. It's not explained.
Yeah.
It's just something to indicate something's really weird and off about this space. And they're setting up something that they're going to play with here that really just, reality is kind of breaking down. Reality is making exceptions all over the place, and you cannot understand what's really happening here.
Lovecraft used
76,
that.
yeah, massively. It's very much like House of Leaves, which also cool reference.
Yeah. Lovecraft used it in subtly and not supernaturally in the horror at Red Hook, the rats in the walls, the Silver Key, Through the Gates of the Silver Key. Dunwich Horror plays on it a little bit. He used it all over the place. It's just showing the hidden world behind what you think is there.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good warning to you to kind of throw you off and make you feel uneasy. And I think it's something that does actually work really. It works better in film to just have these subtle changes and things not be where they were. It's kind of hard to convey in a book because you don't retain as good and clear a picture of the space in your brain as you do in a movie where you're just managing to piece together the geography of everywhere. But and subtle changes to that just throw you off, just things moving. Yeah, I love it. So that's one of the things that works better on film, I'd say.
Lovecraft refined it pretty well. His imitators tend to be very clunky with it. Lumley just said, forget about it. I'm just going to say this is an extra dimensional portal instead of he says it, not shows it kind of thing. But Lovecraft got much better at the unease of the extra spatial reality.
Yeah. This leads into the bit where basically we encounter just a lot of chaos, a lot of the inexplicable, a lot of we see transformed bodies that are kept down in this extra dimensional space, this impossible space. This is a chance to have the abattoir. It's a chance for a bit of a gore showcase. It's incredibly Reanimator,
where the doctor keeps his failures in the and you can see a lot more of them even through the red light than with the flashing lights previously. And they did a rather good job of it. The red light of the flare really worked, almost in a giallo sense.
Yeah, it was that's a good call. I got this image not just for the crab walk, but I really like the contrasting lighting, which is very giallo. If you remember the giallo art that we covered, folks, if you saw that, That's the largely 1970s Italian horrors, where they have just this beautiful dynamic lighting like that got really popular again in the 2020s. Just suddenly a whole load of films started doing it. So the Candyman sequel, Fear Street did it, Malignant did it. Now Malignant was obviously a tribute to Giallo, but there's another one I'm forgetting where they had really obvious Giallo style lighting. It's going to bug me. If you remember what it is, folks, let me know. There's
Parts
also
of Master of Illusion had that kind of effect. Most of it was brightly lit, but some of Master of Illusion, Clive Barker movie.
Yeah. There's a really beautiful effect in this. Like one of the abominations in the abattoir, I think must be a puppet, because it's trying to self-delete by ramming its head onto a pole, and it's basically
I love that.
The pole has like completely gone for its head, and it hasn't killed it, but it keeps trying, and that is, I mean, TCG, glorious. You saw that, you loved it. What do you think?
Again, just very, very decent practical effects. It's just that I love it, the old Ed button, like the going through the pole, and then it just sort of like pulls out and it sort of like looks at the characters, and it's like
so grim. It made me think of Return of the Living Dead and the way they did zombies, that they just don't die.
Yeah,
they keep going, and a lot of them kind of want to die but just cannot. And that thing, like that gave me chills. That was wonderful. Yeah, this was great. I mean, it goes full chaos at this point. Our junkie friend gets his comeuppance when he's snatched by this thing. Just before that, though, there is a really interesting scene that we should talk about, and deal with what happens with Allison and Dr. Powell. I will get him back on, because we showed this earlier, but I think we should maybe discuss it in a bit more depth.
Yeah. She wakes up on the table and she can't move. And he comes in and talks to her about loss and life and bringing life into the world. And he shows that she's pregnant, and then it turns around and my little girl's going to be reborn, and shows her what it actually is, and it starts bulging out and the tentacles shoot out. Good.
Yeah. This is maybe a bit obvious, but this is really good stuff because of the character arcs. That is to say, we complained about how heavily they laid it on, but we've got to remember that Daniel and Allison's trauma is they lost a child. So for Powell to make her pregnant again is just absolutely sadistic horror. And when Daniel comes and sees her again, she's on the table. He goes between seeing her as Allison and seeing her as a sort of already splayed open tentacle monster. And they flip back and forth between those views. And you find yourself, in classic Lovecraftian sense, not knowing what is real. You don't know at this point, when he's hacking her up with an axe to put her out of her misery. Has he actually seen her as she is? Is he hallucinating the tentacles? It is dark.
I didn't think he was hallucinating. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he was either, but I think you just have that lack of certainty with what you're seeing.
Well, I think it doesn't help I think it helps the fact that Richard sort of describes what's happened to Allison, making her a mother, Yeah, it's just so creepy,
Mm.
especially the whole impregnating her thing. Mm.
Oh yeah, and
Ew.
it's grim. It's grim when he's
Mm.
also the father of Maggie's child, and that's like a 60-year age difference.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee.
Oh yeah.
Oh no
Yeah.
no no no. Oh dear.
Yeah, from the sheriff executing Allison upstairs to Kim trying to give the C-section, and the cultists break in and everything goes wrong, and then the grandfather tries to help out, and Maggie appears behind him after slitting his throat, and they're here to save me and my child. And it's, oh, that reveal. The doctor gave me this.
Yeah, I have to ask, did this make you broody?
Oh goodness, oh goodness. I will once again reference that we did have someone from The Brood in this movie. You know, so so good, so good. Yeah, it's a great effect. It's, you know, it's body horror. It's a different kind of horror. It's a variety. It's so nasty, and it moves us on. It sort of preps us for. I kind of want to say the final boss, but it's not the final boss. It's the boss monster. We get a thing called the fetus monster when he finally gets through to the area they called the temple.
Oh yeah. Can I just ask, with regards to that scene just now, they didn't use CGI for that, Billy, did they? That was all practical effects as well, right?
They were in the second gym, the girls' gym, and they put up plywood and painted all the plywood for the pillars. The back wall is a false wall, and on the other side, they had it on dollies, and they just pulled it out with the spotlight shining through the edges. Very simple effect, but very effective.
Or did you mean the pregnancy bit, TCG?
The pregnancy bit. So with the baby on bump, yeah, the baby bump.
Yeah, classic latex, classic fake body. So she's just like in Day of the Dead, you know, where you need someone torn apart. She's on a bed and she's sort of on her knees, leaning backwards, and then the rest of her sort of. If you think it's kind of weird that she's got a bra on, it's not just to avoid nudity.
Yeah.
The bra covers up the join of the latex, so it's a latex stomach that is got several air pumps inside it that help it move. Very good effect. Very well done.
Yeah,
I thought they got it looking great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we have the final level here, which is just again hell breaks loose. We've got the transformed Powell. Maggie comes down, dies giving birth to what is called the fetus monster in production. It's like, how would you describe this thing?
The thing crossed with Brundlefly, in-game Brundlefly.
It's massive. It's
massive, and the fly feet, and the
it's kind of got much more of an obvious face than the Beverly transformation, which I think is clever. But when it hatched, I just love there are so many little touches in this movie that help sell it. Attention to detail. So when this monstrous thing hatches out of Maggie, now that she's revealed herself to be a cultist and impregnated by the transformed Dr. Powell, this thing bursts out of her and its umbilical cord is still attached to it. So when it moves on, it drags her corpse with it. And it's so nasty. But I just love that they included that detail. It's basically the boss fight for the father and son duo.
Yeah.
No, this is one of the areas where their budget did sort of hit them, because I did think the father sadly dies in the fight. He is Swiss cheese by tentacles. It's nasty, and he tries to do some big damage going out, so he gets some alcohol gel or medicinal alcohol. He splashes that all over himself and all over the monster, and the son.
It's the bottle of gasoline that
There we
he was
go.
carrying.
There we go. Yeah, the son uses one of the flares to
yeah.
light it, and it.
I know it takes his sweet time doing it. Dad,
Yeah.
father's over there suffering madly, and just light it up, and
Mhm.
then sort of hold on for a few more seconds while he just while good old fetus baby decides to dig deeper into dad's intestines.
Yeah.
You take your time. You take your
It's
time.
something I liked about that is the monsters did seem largely unconcerned. They just focused on doing what they were doing. That made it quite creepy. I liked that. But yeah, the actual burning effect was on the cheaper side, and the making of documentary basically confirmed that they couldn't do a proper burn of the actual creature they built.
Yeah.
So they had to do the sort of classic show some fire in front of it and not actually burn the thing, which it's understandable. It's a low budget production. You can't always do the shots that you want. If something goes wrong, you don't get to do more setups. And obviously I'm an absolute amateur in what I do, but even the mini scale thing I do, I know you're taking a while to just move around all your lighting and get all your things in perspective and shot right and have consistency. So for a proper production to shift around angles, it takes a while. So the fact that they weren't able to get all the shots that they wanted is very understandable, especially in a really complex production.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a minor grumble. It's a minor grumble. But yeah, the fetus monster again is it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So
While it's a great aesthetic look, I did find it a bit annoying at the fact that Richard spent all this time trying to bring his daughter back, and then the daughter's back for all of 5 minutes, killed again. Great work.
Hang on, what did you mean by that? The daughter does come back. Am I being dense?
Maggie's
from
baby
fetus
is
baby.
the daughter reborn.
There we go.
It's the daughter reborn, yeah. So he goes to all this effort to bring her back, and she's only actively alive in reanimated in the film for a handful of minutes before, like you say, it's torched to death.
Yeah, I didn't find that motivation particularly convincing. Partially because he doesn't really do much to try and protect the creature. I mean, possibly he doesn't think his daughter is actually vulnerable, and he's pretty sure that that the daughter is just going to take care of the father and son with no difficulty. Maybe that's why. But his focus did seem elsewhere in this scene.
Opening the gate, confronting the sheriff, offering the sheriff his wife and his child back.
Yeah, I've got to say that's what I struggle to focus on. I struggle to. It seemed to me like opening the void and getting access to this other plane was a lot more what he cared about.
Yeah, definitely. But like I say, I mean, it sort of changes, though, doesn't it? I mean, if he's more interested in the void, but yet the whole motive was to bring his daughter back, and I appreciate that he wasn't able to bring her back in like human form, but he didn't really care about that, because for to Richard, the whole point of not being able to die, cheat death, if you will, that seems to have been like an objective that took over from just a simple how do I get my daughter back?
Yeah.
It was almost like the daughter coming back was almost like a byproduct of what he was doing, when it wasn't the main
John
thing.
Goris is right. The fetus monster doesn't die in the fire. The fetus monster dies in the in chase with the sun and the collapsing walls.
Yeah, apologies if I mangled that and gave a false impression there. Yes, it's that final sort of Hellraiser tribute that we get with it. Yeah, I find this just a bit more confusing, and maybe it's meant to be confusing, but Powell kind of transcends human concerns, I think. Like, he transcends his form. He's really unconcerned with the human reality, which is why I think he's so happy to just cut his face off, because he's ready for to steal a Videodrome line. He's ready for the new flesh, and he's ready for the new world.
Yep, apotheosis.
He
becomes one of the new gods.
Yes, he moves through to that realm, and I'm not convinced he loses. To describe what happens here, Daniel, after being stabbed in the back, gets up, gets an axe, chops Powell with an axe, and it doesn't seem to do much, and then ultimately just charges through the portal with him. But I'm not actually sure that beat Powell. And possibly I'm wrong. This could be my misinterpretation.
I think
But Powell promises him that if he goes along with him, he can be together with Allison again.
Yep.
Once he goes through the portal, in contrast to, Prince of Darkness, the next thing we see is at the very end of the film, is he's in this completely different realm to really lower the tone again. Remember that cool music video I showed you guys? DYE Fantasy. So good. Look it up.
Oh,
no.
No.
It's absolutely fine to view on a bus. Don't worry, guys. And when he's in this realm, who's back next to him?
It's Allison.
It is. We don't see Powell.
No.
Yeah.
Just the ghosts of the sheriff and Allison.
Just sort of marooned in this new environment. I think this is a gift. I think this is a gift to Dan. A sort of, thanks, buddy. You helped me. I think Powell always wanted to go through the void. He's gone through, he's ascended. Controversial, I don't know.
He's ascended, and they've been gifted life and spirit in the void that he considers a just reward.
Yeah, I love this. Like the human realm closes up, it and it seems to restore to reality, and the boy just about escapes it. That's the wall crushing section. But Powell's got what he wanted. Now we could go really, really deep into this, and there's lots of ways you can take it. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Up thread, someone mentioned the triangle being a symbol of masculinity. Who was that? That was a nice take. But
also very much a callback to Hellraiser 2's The Black Pyramid's a callback to Leviathan from Hellraiser 2.
Yeah. I was also going to say, if we're going into typical symbolism, and we could really, we could dig into this, we could go deep, we could tinfoil post all you like, but that it's not just a triangle we see in this. In this shot, we see the underside. We've been seeing triangles all film. in this shot, for the first time, we see a third dimension. We see a pyramid. Now, this is in symbology. This is classic. This is power. Your pyramid is a symbol associated with so many secret orders. So you can take it that way. I would use it more as Powell is, in some form, Powell is that pyramid, or Powell has joined the power that is in that pyramid, that is the god of that realm, the Leviathan-like god of the realm. And that's yes, Leviathan in a Hellraiser 2 sense, not a Samuel T. Francis sense. Although I have done a reading of Hellraiser 2 as a very Samuel T. Francis based film. Way back in the day, if people know my back catalogue very well.
Yeah, it's also a subtle callback to the extended Lovecraftian universe. The Black Pyramid and the Black Man symbolize Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos, the herald of the elder gods. And my interpretation, just because, well, the extended universe, I'm a big fan of it. Powell basically became a mask of Nyarlathotep. He's become the herald of the elders, which is his reward.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. And I think you can see it straight away as like, oh, it's the sacrifice to beat the scary, skinless, demon-looking dude. But it's, yeah, I'm glad we're all there, because just that second viewing, it became really clear to me, like, no, hang on, the bad guy won, or
yeah,
he completely got what he wanted, and this sort of bittersweet ending. Oh, it's great. It's This is just the great Lovecraftian thing, that feature. I know I've said Lovecraftian so much, folks, but this is that something I find so unique to him, is that the Lovecraft gods just operate on a scale where the humans are so completely insignificant. They just don't even think of us, like we are happening in a sub-dream of theirs. And if Great Azathoth wakes up, we just blink out of existence. We just do not matter to them. And so for this, our protagonist can do a big sacrifice, and it just means literally nothing. I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's like an ant. It's like an ant colony in it. We're like an ant colony to them. Like, we don't matter.
Yeah.
Like, if we're building a road, we'll just build over the road. It's nothing personal. You're there.
It's so extremely pessimistic. Now, I am going to try and get you a little more on that. I have a book from basically the world's foremost Lovecraft expert, S.T. Joshi, called Lovecraft and the Decline of the West. Now, it has it's quite detailed. I'll be honest, I'm struggling with it, but I will try and get you some interesting excerpts from that on Lovecraft's overall worldview. And I think the week after that, I will give you a reading, specifically a chapter that Joshi has on Lovecraft and Oswald Spengler. Now, that I realize that's going to split the chat. A lot of half of you maybe are like, oh, sweet, Spengler and Lovecraft, awesome. And the other half are like, who? I will try and make it accessible, and I'll have a follow-up the week after that is just a ridiculous theory of mine. That's a complete light-hearted antidote to that. So we'll balance it out. But I think we should go a little deeper with our Lovecraft this time. So Lovecraft and Oswald Spengler will be in the third week of this stream. Yes. Okay, so that does bring us to the end of the film. Is there anything? Shall we move on to closing thoughts and scores while we stay on Super Nanny's good side?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea.
Lovely, lovely. TCG, are you feeling like going first? And I'll get Yiz's score because she got it in very early.
Sure thing. So I think it's an enjoyable Lovecraft adaptation. The characters I do for the most part I do quite like what they did with the characters. The little, I say the little bits in the script where some dialogue would reveal something subtly that would happen in future was quite cool. I did feel though when it came to the characters, the father and the son, I do feel like they kind of that they could have been managed better. So what do I mean by that? When they first arrive, the father's obviously on one. He's all out to get the druggy lad. And he just seems like he's not going to cooperate at all, but he just seems to go along with everything, even though there's no reason for him to, I suppose. One part that annoyed me in particular was when they went to go and get the shotgun, and the father says, I want the shotgun. He goes, oh yeah, sure. And just as they get outside the hospital, he's like, you better not try anything. And he's like, no, of course not. And then, long story short, Daniel gets the shotgun. And he's like, I'm keeping the shotgun. And the father was just like, it didn't challenge it when they got back inside. Like there was no conflict, which I thought was a bit disappointing. But I mean, I suppose it is what it is. I just would have liked to have seen there be a bit more conflict, I suppose. Almost like a contest, sort of like almost like an unofficial leadership contest. But anyway, yeah. Other than that, though, I think the characters are pretty well written. The whole mystique of the film was quite glorious, even though at first when I watched it I was a bit like I couldn't wrap my head around it until I realised it's Lovecraftian, of course it's going to be like that. So second, third, fourth, fifth watches were all knowing that made. Overall though, I mean, this is probably going to be the most ketchup-y soaked burger I've ever made. The burger meat is just all over the place. It's barely contained within the buns. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 12 burgers.
8 out of 12?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And of the Lovecraft we've covered, it's not going to be the top, is it? But would you say kind of close to the top?
I'd say it's around about there, but it's a solid film. Don't get me wrong; it's a solid film. Like when I was doing the rewatches, I didn't lose any of the enjoyment. I didn't lose any enjoyment from it. If anything, I sort of appreciated like catching little bits here and there that I might have missed on the previous watches. But I mean, I still hold that radio show that we did in real high regard. I would probably say it's better than the Color of
Color Out of Space.
That's it, Color Out of Space. I'd probably say it was slightly better than that. But yeah, it was all right.
8 out of 12.
But I'm not putting pineapple in my burger.
8 out of 12 is nothing to stare at. Like that's a solid rating. That's firmly on the. Yeah, I'd recommend that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I love practical effects. I thought this was referencing and reusing lots of stuff from great vintage horror. So it had loads of pedigree, and it had the Lovecraftian flavor incorporated so well. The ending is an absolute banger. The visuals are unique and memorable. It looks gorgeous. We get characters who are largely mature, well integrated, not sort of stock characters. They've got a bit of depth to them. I think the only part I wasn't a massive fan of was the section where the father and son were in conflict with everyone and everyone just sort of shouting at each other. I didn't go for that as much because that just seemed a bit too chaotic, and I can see the criticism that people's motivations got a bit lost there. The use of the cultists is also a bit questionable. They're sort of there when they need to be, and then they're not there the rest of the time. I think that's sort of a budgeting issue, but it's one of those elements that isn't entirely worked around all that well. But that's more of a quibble for me. And I am rating this a lot higher because it was very concise and it's low budget. So it's making very efficient use of what it has. It's a really good vision. I recommend it wholeheartedly. It's an absolute gem. It's not my favorite Lovecraft. I'd be torn whether I rate it higher than Color Out of Space, but the radio adaptation of Charles Dexter Ward is still my unbeaten favorite Lovecraft. And I don't know if anything's going to dislodge that, to be honest. But I would... God, I think it's more of a 9 for me. I really liked it. I think it's amazingly well done. Lots of differentiation. 9 with 9 burgers, loads of ketchup, and some slight moldy pickles. I think they're pickles. Once it's hard to say. 70 Sue. In our first Lovecraft arc, one of the ones we covered was a radio retelling, which pretended to be a true crime podcast covering the case of Charles Dexter Ward. It was really clever, really good modernized adaptation, like shockingly good. Look that up and then watch our coverage of it. So it's I think it's called The Lovecraft Mysteries now, but you can find it on the BBC website. It's really, really good.
Yeah, definitely 100% recommend.
Yeah. And now Murgoot, your closing thoughts and score.
I loved it. It's a total callback to the 80s. John Carpenter, Barker, Cronenberg. It's one of those. It came as a surprise to me when I saw it on Netflix and went, oh, wow, that's a lot better than I thought it was. Oh, wow, that's actually great. It's kind of... It's a throwback to almost Ramsey Campbell style Lovecraftian fiction, with John Carpenter directing it. But it's raw, it's entertaining. It's just confusing enough and horrifying enough to qualify as a true Lovecraftian film. I would give it 9 steak tartare burgers with loads of ketchup, a little bit of hot sauce, and fried octopus rings. Fez stole what I was gonna say.
Yeah, we got to have the calamari reference, haven't we?
Yeah, it's just, yeah. I'd say it's a good solid 9, not quite as good as The Color Out of Space, and not as good as the radio play, but for the budget they had, it's excellent callback to the 80s body horror.
Yeah, definitely. It's so creative with it. I think that's fair. I'm seeing scores from 8 to 11. There's that. So for some people, this is really hitting. So Victoria and Holy Holy, they're giving it the 11. Mima with the 10 out of 12, she gave it. Alabaster, 10 out of 12. Yeah, loads of people loving it. I can totally see why. But also everyone appreciating it. Nothing below an 8, I think. I'm just checking again. Did anyone go under 8? I don't think so. No, deserved. Not going to argue any of it. There's a certain amount of variation for individual taste there, but overall, everyone is appreciating it, and I can see why. And I personally really like that they gave extra focus to doing something serious. Now, I am going to have to look for a second. I'm stalling a tiny second because I'm trying to find out where exactly I wrote down. Oh, dear. Okay, got it. Right. Okay, I know what we're doing now. I know what we're doing. I had to look at the horror homework and I couldn't remember. I'm sorry, guys. I found it now. All right. So next one's yes, next week's horror homework. Now that we've done our scores. Oh, we do have a last minute score. 9 burgers from Jay. Good on you. Yep, still in line. Everyone's appreciating it. All right. So we'll do the round off here. Your horror homework for next week. We've done a 2016 film, so we're going back into the vaults. We're going to cover the 1970s version of the Dunwich Horror. That's what we're looking at. I'll get you the exact year. Hang on. Now, this one might be, not your favorite, but
it's psychedelic, but it's got Dean Stockwell, so it's got some class to it.
Yeah, it is Dunwich Horror. Yeah, 1970. It's an 18, should be interesting, but yeah, with Dean Stockwell and Ed Begley in, come on, it's going to be a hoot. Remember we saw The Haunted Palace, which was a 1960s Roger Corman take on Charles Dexter Ward. I'm really interested to see what 1970s does with the Dunwich Horror. Let's have fun with that. Now, a little tip for you guys. These aren't always easy to find. Sometimes it's like you're having a real odyssey searching for them. But I'm sure somewhere online will have it. So if it's not easily accessible, I'm sure there's all sorts of places you could find the Dunwich Horror from 1970. So good luck with that. It's going to be a first watch for me, so I don't know the quality. I'm interested. And sometimes on this, I do often like to go for something I haven't seen before. So it's a bit of an experience for me as well. So that is us for next week. The Dunwich Horror, 1970. And remember, folks, tomorrow night is the first of the regular literature streams. I will be managing it, but I will not be on stream because we are going to have Amy and Waifu doing readings from Lovecraft. Amy will be starting with the music of Eric Zahn, and then Waifu is going to take over and read The Rats in the Walls. It'll probably be just over an hour, based on how long the stories are. That's what we think it will take. And they're going to have a little bit of a discussion in the middle, just to discuss it. I'm really looking forward to this. I hope you'll be there for it. It should really help build the appreciation for Lovecraft. I feel I'm possibly rambling at this point. So to stay on Super Nanny's good side, I am going to end it now. I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. here for the Cozy Literature Lovecraft stream. And I'm going to thank, of course, my guests, Murgoot and TCG.
Pleasure as always. Thank you very much for having us on.
Thank you, ma'am, for having me on.
No problem whatsoever. Absolute joy. It was a close vote, but I'm glad Lovecraft won. And it's lovely covering it with you guys. And thank you, chat. Really glad that you all appreciate it. It's great to see a lot of love for this film. Hopefully we get more people watching it. Okay. 72, it is 8 p.m. 8 p.m. UK time tomorrow. And hopefully we'll finish just around 9, and then we'll hopefully everyone can then head on to Whammons Hour and say hello to Poe. You say proper horror show sent you. All right. I'm going to round off now, folks. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good night. Thank you for joining us here. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
#Show Gang.